Hello everybody and welcome to The Point, your weekly show for all things sports, straight out of Pittsburgh in the 412. My name is Riley Taylor and I'm your host. Today we're going to jump right into two topics, the first being an ongoing controversy in the NHL, which is who are the current 10 best players in the league, according to The Point. Then, who we think is likely to make it to the MLB postseason in the shortened 60-game season, especially since the league has kept its traditional 10-team format instead of expanding it to 16 teams like many wanted. So stay tuned for all this and more coming up right now in The Point. So to begin today's episode, I'm going to distinguish who I think are the top 10 best players currently in the NHL. And this is a controversy that every single year analysts try to tackle, but many fans tend to agree with on such a large scale. Because every year the NHL tries to make lists and publish them, and many people do, and there always seems to be a disagreement among fans because they try to squeeze in many players that arguably shouldn't be there, and a lot of times it's defensemen at times. So instead of diving really deep into it like these analysts do, I'm going to give you my list from the perspective of an avid NHL fan without all the extra added qualities like playoff success and the amount of years that some of these players spend in the league. So to start, number 10, Nikita Kucherov of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Due to his continued high skill of play down in Florida, winning the Art Ross last year with a whopping 126 points, and keeping on track even this year with 85 points, Kucherov is easily a top 10 in the league. He has some of the best hands in the entire league and has helped keep Tampa at the top of the Atlantic Division year after year after year, and a very competitive player out on the ice. Number 9, we have Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Since coming into the league in 2016, Austin Matthews has continued to be one of the top 5 goal scorers in the NHL. He is almost unmatched when out on the ice, and even with or without assets playing alongside him, he continues to produce insane amount of goals at only being 22 years old. Number 8, Patrick Kane of the Chicago Blackhawks. Kane has continued to power through as one of the best pure players in the league, although Chicago has continued to be on the decline after many years of success. And I mean, despite lacking tons of assets and a lot of players alongside him, it's a very young core in Chicago. He has continued elite point production in goal scoring and is always lethal when on the ice. Number 7, Nathan MacKinnon. Nathan MacKinnon has been beyond dominant in the Western Conference with the Colorado Avalanche, and despite playing the bulk of his years and many primary years during the rebuild with the Avalanche. Pure speed, pure puck handling, and just amazing goal scoring ability. He is just year after year an elite player on the ice with Colorado in the Olympics. Whatever kind of situation you put MacKinnon in, this dude just does not cease to impress. Now moving on to number 6, Artemi Panarin. Panarin has just always been a threat. He started his days in Chicago and then moved to Columbus, and now he's with the New York Rangers. And clutch is just a word to describe this man. I mean, you cannot hold him out of the top 10 in the league. When single-handedly this year with the New York Rangers, he brought them into contention. He brought them alive as a team. And before that, without Artemi Panarin, if he wasn't there, I do not see the New York Rangers being anything that they are. Panarin is just pure skill and really is holding an entire team alive right now. And now on to my top 5 players. Number 5, David Pastrnak of the Boston Bruins. Pastrnak has just continued to assert his dominance as a goal scorer in the NHL and is arguably one of the best, if not the best, but I just don't see him surpassing Ovechkin right now. But year after year, he is holding up the Boston Bruins in the Eastern Conference, producing in the upper 40s to low to mid 50s of goals year after year. And you just know that this guy is a pure top 5 player when he can do that season after season and not even miss a beat. Number 4, we have Leon Draisaitl. Draisaitl is of course very fortunate to play along McDavid on the Oilers, but even when McDavid has gone down with injuries, Draisaitl has continued to put up massive amounts of pure goals and points and carry the Oilers when needed. So that's why I have him in the top 5, because although it's the two of them on the Oilers, even when McDavid has gone down, he has continued to pull forward, lacking any assets on the Oilers. Number 3, we have, of course, Alex Ovechkin of the Washington Capitals. The best, and I'm saying it right now, the best pure goal scorer to ever play the game. Year after year, Ovechkin is always at the top of the goal scoring category. I mean, putting up year after year, upper 40s, high 50s, every single season that this man has played, and continuing it forward even with age. Age has not changed this man's goal scoring ability, and that is why he remains a top 3 player in the NHL. Number 2, of course, we now have Sidney Crosby. Now, obviously, Crosby is is a threat, no matter the circumstances. Each shift, he completely dominates the game going out and just being everywhere that you never thought a player could be. He's able to push every single player around him, into such an amazing spot on the team. I mean, look at players like Jake Gensel that have come alive as pure goal scorers, all because of his ability. So because of the way that Crosby can transform young, in-depth players around him into elite players, he is truly a top 3 player and number 2 in this league. And now we have number 1, and you were all waiting to hear this man's name, Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers. McDavid is just unmatched in this league right now. It is his league right now. The speed, the goal scoring ability, the puck handling, it's just absolutely ridiculous what this man can do year in and year out, night in and night out. Even with lacking so many assets. I mean, you look at the Oilers roster, it's a bunch of depth players, and McDavid has come alive as just a pure, unbelievable, legitimate player in this league, and he is completely unmatched. There is nobody right now that is close to his skill. Yeah, you can make the argument between McDavid and Crosby right now, but when you take out the successes, I mean, McDavid, it's only his 5th year in the league. You take out the successes, you take out the veteran statuses, and I see McDavid as the best player in this entire league, and it has been seen year after year since he has come in. So there we have it, folks, my top 10 players right now in the NHL, not taking into account playoff success and seniority and other factors. Pure skill, pure talent. Let me know what you guys think. And now moving over to the MLB. The season is slated to kick off around the 24th or 23rd of July, give or take, about 3 weeks after a training camp begins. Each team is going to play 60 games, but unfortunately, the MLB has declined the idea of expanding the playoffs to 16 teams and has kept them to the traditional 10-team postseason format. So that being said, we could still see some interesting results, but it's a much, much tighter race now that we have less games and still very few spots to fill in the postseason. So this is how we expect the postseason to look after 60 games here at The Point. We're going to start out over in the American League East. Obviously, the Yankees are likely to make a quick run at a World Series with very well-rested pitching, especially with adding Garrett Cole in the offseason. It also wouldn't be unlikely for a team like the Tampa Bay Rays to come back into the postseason and slide into a wild card position again like they did last year, especially with their talent likely to progress a bit into the season with guys like Tyler Glasnow, Ryan Yarbrough, and Charlie Morton on the mound. Over in the American League Central, things are a bit interesting as well. Last year, we saw the Twins take the lone playoff spot from this division, despite the Indians coming in with 93 wins, having a good season. Now, this time around, I could see both of these teams getting into the postseason since they aren't likely to face a lot of competition with the Royals, White Sox, and Tigers again. And in the American League West, we find the Astros and the Athletics being the 2 teams that made the postseason last season. This is a division that gives me a little bit of trouble finding the playoff spots, but the Astros are unfortunately likely to keep their offense going, but their pitching could be the reason that they are in and out on this. But all in all, I do see the Astros walking away with the playoff spot in this division, despite all the things that have gone on with them. But don't count the Athletics out and even the teams like the Angels out of this division, because there are a lot of expectations coming into the Los Angeles Angels this year. So this is a give or take division. And if there's one spot up for grabs, it's going to be tough, but I do see the Astros taking that spot. So, all in all, it looks like the Yankees, Rays, Twins, Indians, and Astros could be the potential postseason lineup in the AL. But like I said, don't be surprised if you see teams like the Angels or Athletics come in and take those final spots and kick another team out, because it is only 60 games. Now, on the other side of the league, in the National League, there are a lot of teams that are going to be looking to take advantage of the shortened season and slide into the playoffs as well. In the National League East, where we start off, last season we saw the Braves and the eventual World Series winning champion Nationals get into the postseason in this division. I'm seeing the Braves and the Mets really battle this one out, and unfortunately with some of the losses that the Nationals faced in the offseason, that could make them sitting on the outside in. So we are likely, like I said, to see the Mets and the Braves battle it out and take 2 postseason spots in this division. But there is a lot of talk about the Phillies potentially having very high expectations this year, and still the Nationals after winning a World Series title. So there's 4 potential likely teams in this division that could make runs, but I do see the Mets and the Braves being the 2 that solidify themselves. In the National League Central, the Reds are actually looking to have very, very high they are high favorites and have very high expectations in this shortened season with all the offseason additions they made. And on the flip side, we might see teams like the Cardinals and the Brewers fall back a little bit from some of the losses they had. All in all of this division, it's tough to pick really one team out of all this, but I'm seeing the Cardinals and the Reds as the eventual battlers for this division, and possibly both of them making it. But now, if the Reds don't see themselves living up to expectations with the moves that they made, it's probably going to be Cardinals Brewers or Cardinals Cubs. I'm leaning more towards Cardinals Cubs, but for right now, we're choosing the Cardinals and the Reds. And now out in the National League West, obviously the Dodgers are the front runner. The Diamondbacks are a team that have the potential to take a step forward, but given that a wild card is likely the only position available for them, I don't see them sliding in with all the spots they're going to be battled for in the NL Central. So for the National League, to sum it up, expect to see the Braves, Mets, Reds, Cardinals, and Dodgers make the playoffs, with the possibility of teams like the Cubs, Nationals, and maybe even the Phillies sneaking in, but it may not be that likely. So there you have it, folks, our predictions on the shortened MLB season. Surely anything can happen given these circumstances, but all said and done, we're probably going to see the Dodgers and Yankees really make the battle for the true World Series title. Well, folks, that is all the time that we have for today on The Point. Let us know how you feel about our list of top 10 NHL players in the league right now, and how we think the MLB postseason is going to look after 60 games. On our Twitter and Instagram at @thepoint_412 or in the comments below. We will get back to you. As always, I'm Riley Taylor, and this was The Point. See you on Monday.